Excellencies, dear fellow champions, dear participants, I am pleased to speak to you today as Sweden's new SheDecides champion. I'm so proud to be a champion. I'm so proud to be a champion together with you. And I know that my grandmother, she would be so proud of me today. She was actually a single mom in Sweden in the 1940s. It was very hard. And she was a single mom due to lack of access to modern contraceptives. She would have been proud of me, of us, that we are taking her struggle and her right as every girl and woman's right to decide over their own body. I'm pleased to speak to you, doing so representing the government, a government deeply committed to sexual and reproductive health and rights for all, and one of the founders of SheDecides. We believe in the transformative power of SheDecides, which is why we continue to be engaged in the movement 5 years after its launch. We all know that SheDecides started at a time of considerable pushback against the SRHR agenda. A lot has happened since then, successes as well as enormous challenges. The COVID-19 pandemic and its negative impact on tens and thousands of women and girls has made this all too clear. And yesterday's progress cannot be taken for granted. Past weeks have reminded us in very clear terms of that. So we must continue to defend the right to decide over one's body, health and sexuality. Thank you, Belgium, and thank you, Prime Minister Krogh, for inviting us to discuss how to best do this. As like-minded countries, organizations and movements, we must continue to work together against the ongoing pushback against SRHR and democracy and women and girls' human rights. As a feminist and as a member of a government with a feminist foreign policy, I will continue to do my part. SheDecides has been and continues to be an invaluable partner. I take pride in noting that our joint efforts have lent results. The like-minded group has expanded, and together we've stood up for sexual and reproductive health and rights, for example, at this year's Commission on the Status of Women. Last year, Sweden, together with many partners represented here today, facilitated the third Global Safe Abortion Dialogue. It brought together 650 participants from over 50 countries, a strong indication of the global commitment to a woman's right to have access to safe abortion. During Generation Equality Forum, Sweden made a commitment on equitable access to comprehensive sexual and reproductive health and rights. We also joined a joint commitment toward comprehensive abortion care, to which SheDecides and partners have signed on, and we welcome more champions to sign on. Political commitments must be backed up by substantial, flexible funding. Over decades, Sweden has been one of the largest financial contributors to SRHR advocacy and services. And we recently renewed our multi-year agreement for flexible core resources to UNFPA. And let me in this context stress that Sweden remains committed to the 1% of GNI for development assistance. And I would encourage other donors to join us at least to meet the 0.7% target. Because investments in comprehensive SRHR save lives. And due to our commitment of 1% of GNI to ODA, during 2021, in our total ODA, we gave 7% to SRHR and over 60% to SRHR in our health development cooperation. So, yes, investment in comprehensive SRHR saves lives. Looking ahead, we see our engagement in the SheDecides movement as an important part of a joint and cross-regional action for SRHR, and we believe that our role as champions can be catalytic and inspiring. We should continue to join forces, broaden our champions' base, and make sure that we make our success stories heard. Investing in SRHR is only not the right thing to do, but it's also smart. So let me be clear, from the Swedish government, I can assure you that our strong financial support for sexual reproductive health and rights will continue. I am proud to announce today that Sweden will contribute financially to the SheDecides important work for the coming year. Our contribution of 1 million Swedish kronor will support the implementation of SheDecides' next strategy. Yeah, thank you. In 2022, there is a possibility for this movement to focus on common action, outreach and messaging in several milestone occasions and meetings. The high-level political forum, with its focus on SDG 4 education and SDG 5 gender equality in July, and the UN General Assembly in September are opportunities to be taken and made the most out of. We look forward to strategizing together with you to ensure that SRHR is integrated in climate and environment intervention, in building resilient health system, and in the 2023 resolution on universal health coverage. And we would welcome further joint efforts among champions in promoting the normative agenda for SRHR in multilateral fora. There is one reason why we all are here. There is insufficient progress on the implementation of the agreed-upon comprehensive SRHR agenda. As SheDecides champions, it is our responsibility to stand up, to speak out for every person's right to decide freely over their own body and their own sexual and reproductive health and rights. And I am proud to be Sweden's champion, and I'm happy to take on this task together with you. Thank you.